Is Mortal Kombat 11 better than Mortal Kombat 1? I held a poll on my other channel and 66% said that yes, Mortal Kombat 11 was better than Mortal Kombat 1, while the other 34% are literally going with the opposite aspect of it. So people do think right now that MK11 is better than MK1. Now there's one massive disadvantage to all of this. MK1 has only been out for a little over a year now, and MK11 was what, a 5-year stint or something like that. And so there's a this is $1 million question, because these are things that are also on Twitter that people are going to war with. Literally, there's a lot of opinions going down with, Twitter, people asking polls also. And so I was so excited to talk about this. The one thing you would say, if you had to choose, there was like a fun question like that on Twitter. It was similar to my poll. Mine saying is MK11 better than MK1. But on Twitter, there was one that said if you had to choose MK11 or MK1, and people are going to war kind of like the same way the comments were happening. And this is a very subjective / somewhat objective aspect when it comes to Mortal Kombat, because we do know, in my opinion, if I am thinking content-wise as of right now it's hard to say. With year 2 and Mortal Kombat 1 has been solid, but if I had to say overall, MK11 takes the content, no question. There is just way much more to do. It felt like you were hustling for stuff if you just didn't want to play online all day. And obviously they had Crypt and all these skins. That's what I mean, the grind, right? What MK11 reminded me of was a massive variation of what people do with Call of Duty every single damn year. Black Ops 6 just came out right now, and people are doing the same thing they always do. They grind for skins, camos, they do all the side missions and all the objectives, and they do zombies, and they do everything around it. And then they eventually go back to like Warzone or just stick to multiplayer and just grind like 100%. Same thing with Mortal Kombat 11. I felt they had that approach better than MK1, where it kept you on into wanting to grind and hustle, whether it's Towers of Time, the Crypt, all the skins, all the content, the exclusivity, all the packs, all that's just so much things that even if you had to pay to initially get it, I felt that in Mortal Kombat 11, it was so cool to actually want to get that stuff. Mortal Kombat 1, on the other hand, was really, really weird. At launch, you know, and these are good things, right? We're going to talk about other things also, but Mortal Kombat 1 at launch, it was so hype, of course, because we also thought what we were getting in year 2, what we kind of thought that we would get in year 1. It took a long-ass time for them to really give us content until up like now. Literally right before year 2 started is when we got it real good content. And it was solid, but it launched with so many issues, and including gameplay aspects too. Like, they're still adding to it to this day, and I felt that it was hype to begin with, because it's obviously a brand new installment of Mortal Kombat, the most popular casual fighting game in history, and it launched with the hype, just like any game would have hype. Within a few months, that's when it got kind of stale for a little while. Then they brought it back up for a little while, and then it kind of went back down again. And now it's way back up with year 2. I feel it's at the best it's ever been. Aside from being in the competitive side, which is a very small percentage of people that are really opting out of Mortal Kombat 1 for competing also. Now, there's a lot of variations into this, but overall, in my opinion, MK1 gameplay is a lot better than Mortal Kombat 11, in my opinion. And a lot of people in the comments agree. A lot of people on Twitter agree. Except for this poll, it says MK11's better with more content and good gameplay. But I feel that more people really lean against that more content. Now, you do have a huge argument in Mortal Kombat 11 if you just primarily like Mortal Kombat to be 1v1s. I understand the cameo segment, which really scares away casual players when it comes to Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is a party game. At the end of the day, it's a couch type game where you sit with your friends or you play wherever. Like, they just literally added King of the Hill not too long ago. They added online practice not too long ago. This is a game that was meant to have stuff like that in the beginning, because it is by far loved by casuals. The cameo system makes it very difficult for casuals to really latch on to. It takes a lot more time than OG Mortal Kombat's, because if you play games like MK versus DC, You could really mash on there a lot. It was very fast. MK9 was the same way also. You could just mash your way into things. While MK1, there are some characters you can mash with, right? Like Johnny Cage, Baraka, probably a couple other players, maybe Scorpion. But even at that, Scorpion's not really as fast as he usually is as an MK9, MKX, MK11. And Sub-Zero is simplified, but with this low damage in MK1 and with just him not being as safe unless you find a safe cameo like Sector, or if you use Sonya to really help you out, or if you do massive mixes with Chameleon. These characters that were known to just be primarily great, you kind of have to work around relying on cameos to be great. Scorpion Farah has changed everything for Scorpion, making him S tier. But before that, he was a bottom tier character. Same with Sub-Zero, still to this day, a bottom tier character. And unless you have the right cameo and you know what you're doing in this game already, it is very difficult. So that can really scare off a lot of casuals, hence why that's a huge argument if you don't like Mortal Kombat 1 and you prefer Mortal Kombat 11, because Mortal Kombat 11 was straightforward at the end of the day. It wasn't reminiscent to what we usually loved about Mortal Kombat. I thought gameplay was ass. A lot of people really think gameplay is ass. But the content, you could never deny that Mortal Kombat 11 was insane with the content. And the dark theme, the approach, the aesthetics, everything that they delivered on a day in, day out basis with Towers of Time, you know, barely arriving in MK1 right now, while MK11 had it like basically the whole time. It is way better when they had things that you really want to play for at the end of the day. And so, but aside from the gameplay being ass, in my opinion, they did have great combat packs, in my opinion. Also, lots of characters, lots of variations. While Mortal Kombat 1, their first combat pack is kind of questionable to some people, like having that whole hero approach or anti-hero approach with Omni-Man, Homelander, and Peacemaker. I know a lot of people are thinking like, I don't know if I really like that type of approach for all three of my guest characters, or at least actual guest characters, not just DLC characters like Ermac and Takeda and all that, but actual Quan Chi. When you look at that overall, I think a lot of people can really turn their cheek on that also. So that's a lot of things also. But if I were to really dive in and look into what I enjoy about MK1, if I were to judge it based on right now, I feel the content is catching up. We are comparing a 1-year game to like a 5-year game, 4-year game, something like that. Usually on average, it's like a 4-year span. And so being year 1 going into year 2, I really enjoy Mortal Kombat right now. There has been some buffs, well, some, I don't know why, some nerfs that shouldn't be needing nerfs. And then there's been some buffs, though, additional moves, more brutalities, animalities came around. That's a huge content upgrade. I don't know when we'll ever get a content upgrade like that, but I feel Mortal Kombat can keep up that pace since like the Ermac release onward, where the game has initially sped up and characters have been a lot more fun. I think it could be something. One of my things is, at least a challenge for Mortal Kombat 1 is, can Mortal Kombat 1 get to a 1v1 situation? Because Mortal Kombat 1 does feel like Mortal Kombat 1 right now, because they do have a lot of classic skins, which I love. I'm OG MK, so I love to put on all the classic skins on everybody. But will they be able to make it into a 1v1 choice and maybe just up the damage a little bit, kind of like how they do when you play like when you add relics and stuff like that in Invasions? You know how you play Invasions and like the damage goes higher anyway? Can they make a whole actual 1v1 aspect of that? That would be cool, because now we don't have to rely on anything like just cameos in totality. If you don't like cameos, I don't mind cameos because I myself play sweaty as shit. But if you're looking at other things, it's like, okay, well, can we and will this happen, right? Or will we just get a full 2v2? And then the last question that Mortal Kombat does have is there gonna be either you're continuously doing this identity crisis where you're like, I kind of want to be in a full pro competitive favoritism, Or do I want to actually go back to my casual essence, which I was mentioning earlier, where you can mash a lot more, we can do a lot more for the casuals, break all the characters, be goofy as shit, and just be what Mortal Kombat has always been. And that's the ultimate challenge. Are we sticking to this cameo the full way through, or eventually get a 1v1 and get an actual 2v2, or we just like kind of break a lot of the shit and just have fun and get more additional cameos and more add-ons for the cameos, making the cameos somewhat the spotlight, kind of what they're doing now. But I don't know, man. It's just a weird essence to it, right? Because it's a 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing. But that's a huge question. A couple of challenges where Mortal Kombat needs to really think into, in my opinion. As in, MK11 kind of had their identity already, aside from their gameplay being really held back. But it was simplified, right? It was straightforward. Not as much as insane air juggles, creativity, anti-air, stuff like that. But it kept its identity as to what it was trying to do. And I felt like it favored pro. I guess if I were to go at the end of this conversation, I felt MK11 felt like favored a pro essence much more than what MK1 does right now. MK1 looks like it's a, if I were to really look into it, I feel it barely itches away at the casual favoritism. But a lot of it's just corny at the end of the day, because I know a lot of pros are not really enjoying it as much. But it corny in a good way, though, because MK's meant to be corny. That's what it is. It's a fun game that we love the gore, we love all the stuff going on like that. It's meant to be like that. That's a good thing. It's meant to be this weird gimmicky projectile type stuff. If you want less of that happening, then play my other favorite game, which is Tekken. Tekken's incredible. You know, they do have limited projectiles on that, but Tekken brings you the competitive side. Street Fighter also has projectiles to an extent, of course, but way more competitive than what Mortal Kombat 1 is trying to be right now. So there is a lot of weird identity that we don't know we can get. There is a lot of challenges moving forward. They are barely in year 2. I'm not too sure how much further they're going to ramp it up. They obviously, we got the DLC expansion and stuff still really rolling out. Noob is really dope. Still a little bit more, I wouldn't say like execution type character, but you definitely need a certain cameo and some time to really get used to everything, because you're kind of using additionally 2 cameos with Noob. And so you have to really understand all that stuff. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. If I were to take my final answer, I would definitely say that Mortal Kombat 1, gameplay-wise, is way better. And their content is slowly catching up to MK11. It's a year 2 type game versus a game that was out 4 or 5 years. So I feel that right now, MK11 definitely takes the curve when it comes down to content. They take that hands down. They had amazing content. They had an overall theme that was badass, the dark theme, and everything that we loved about it. And then just kind of like what you can choose, how you can customize your movesets and everything like that. Just, it was beautiful. It had a lot of customization in it that was really cool. MK1 kind of kept it real simplified, straightforward, but then they wanted to get complex with cameos. So that's what I'm saying with the 1 foot in, 1 foot out identity crisis. I hope they continue to get better, though, because I've been enjoying this year 2 so much, man, and I'm excited. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace. Y'all let me know, too, man, what y'all think, man. I really appreciate y'all's comments, man. Yeah, now!